Welcome to our first episode of Internal Life Matters. I have my beautiful cousin here, Autumn, and we're here to talk about her internal life that matters. Welcome to the show, beautiful.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
This is so amazing. I'm thankful for you guys helping me. Totally nervous, but I'm going to get through this. The Internal Life Matters we're going to talk about today is soul wounds that happen that we don't realize as children when we're raised. Not that our parents meant to do it. We're not bashing parents at all. We're not bashing parents. We're just saying our take on how we were parented and how it impacted us, whether it's good or bad. We're not trying to, make our parents look out to be evil or demons. We're just saying how our soul was impacted in those things as well. So we're just going to start from childhood, the things that happened, because we want to help people. Some people can't even go to their parents and say, Mom, this is what happened to me. And because of how you raised me, this is how I am now in society and in relationships. And this is how I show up. And I know we can change, of course, so we're not going to blame them forever. But we're just saying the initial impact that it had that we didn't even know until we had those triggers touched. So I just want you to unpack that from your childhood growing up.
So I had a pretty rough childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that until I started going to counseling.
Mm-hmm.
But I started off with my mom was in college. She was 20. She got pregnant and she gave birth at 21.
Wow.
My biological father was physically abusive and tried to murder my mom multiple times while she was pregnant with me.
Wow.
Yeah, he wanted me aborted and she said no, and it caused a serious problem with him. Yeah.
Well, kudos to your mom
Yeah.
for keeping you in the day and age where everybody uses, abortion as birth control. But
Right.
that means you must have an awesome call in your life, like trying to get rid of you.
Yeah, it was. I knew that from an early age.
Wow.
My mom never kept that from me. I didn't know the extent, but she always told me the truth. She never kept that from me. She always told me he was a bad person, he hurt me, and he didn't want you. So don't go looking for answers because he's not a good person.
How did that make you feel?
I always felt like there has to be more to that story. There's no way that I can just be discarded.
Okay.
I always thought I don't know. I always as a kid, I always felt for the villain. I always had a connection with a villain.
Why?
Because I felt my dad was depicted he's not my dad. My sperm donor, as my mom would call him, he was always depicted as the villain. And I always saw the loneliness of being the villain and how they were always alone and it seemed like nobody could love them. And so I always loved that character.
Wow.
And as I got older, that's how I felt. I always felt like the villain.
Did you feel rejected?
Yes.
Okay.
From birth, I had rejection issues because it's not a good thing to know and it's not a good thing to hear. And I was, now I know that I'm most likely autistic.
Okay.
But in back then, there was not many resources for autism
And diagnosed.
and I remember clearly I was stimming a lot in class.
Wow.
I would try to run in circles or I wasn't able to sit down
And focus.
I was constantly fidgeting. I was hyper active and I talked a lot.
Wow.
I was a chatterbox. I could not stop talking. All my family, that was the number one thing that they would say. And also I did not like playing with other kids.
Wow. Isolation.
Yeah, my mom used to say I would wake up and make myself breakfast and I would play by myself for hours and I was content being alone, which are all signs of autism.
Wow.
Not saying that if you do those things that you're autistic, but those are just
I was over here thinking maybe I am too. The way you describe
those
it.
are just those are just some hallmark things for people who are on the spectrum is dysregulation and being alone, stimming. So if you're constantly moving your hands or shaking your head or things that are not norm, I guess neurodivergent
that makes
things. So growing up, I was always like the black sheep. Like kids thought I was weird. I was bullied a lot. I was bullied for a long time. I was bullied. And
We have so much in common.
it was just hard for me because I couldn't understand why people didn't like me. And I was always like trying to like fit in, and I was always trying to like stop being the weird
Searching
kid.
for acceptance.
So my friends were mostly boys.
Me too.
Because girls were so mean. Like they were so mean to me, and I just couldn't figure out why they were so mean. Like, and I started like wanting my parents to buy me the nicest things because I thought maybe if I had name brand shoes and if I had like my hair straightened and I had like you know like the nicest backpacks, and because my school like up until 3rd grade, so I moved around a lot. I missed this too. So after my dad discarded me, my mom left him, and then she found my stepdad when I was 3 years old. They got married, and my dad was in the military. My stepfather, he was in the military, so we moved around a lot. And I wasn't really at a school for an allotted amount of years. So we were in North Dakota for a couple years.
Nice.
And I remember loving it. I remember having like a community of friends, and I was best friends with my next door neighbor. His name was Brandon. And I would go over there, we would play, and it was good. I had another friend that was like on the other side of the street.
Wow.
And she was kind of bossy, but I liked her a lot. I was younger than her, and I was a daredevil. I literally did anything anybody told me to do. Like we had crab apples in our backyard, and people would be like, "I dare you to eat a crab apple." And I one time I ate one, and there was a worm in it.
Ugh.
And I literally didn't care. Or I climbed trees like a monkey. Like I was always doing something, hurting myself. That's another thing. Like my son is autistic, so I see so many similarities from my childhood in him.
Wow.
Like the need to climb and the need to like not wear clothes. Like I was one of those kids, I just hated having clothes on.
Wow.
Like shoes. I walked everywhere barefoot. I would go outside barefoot. I did not care. Yeah. I had so many like things where I was just like, and I couldn't really connect the dots for some things. Like I just didn't really understand a lot of, that's why I feel like my stepfather and I had so many issues, because I was constantly asking why, because I didn't understand. And I'm the kind of person I need to understand.
Absolutely, 100%.
But to accept it, I have to
100%.
understand what you're telling me.
Same.
To accept whatever it is. So if I still don't understand something, I'm going to fight it until I understand. Right? So like if he tells me you can't go to the movies, I need to know why.
Why?
Yeah, why? And the whole, oh, well, I'm your parent and I say no thing.
That don't work.
That never worked for me. I never was like, okay, I'll just accept that. I've never.
I'm climbing out the window. I'm
Right,
going.
exactly. And I've always had issues with authority, because that's how the mindset that they've had was like, oh, shut up, like you're a little kid. I'm
Because
not
I
going to
said
explain
so.
myself to you. You're a child. And it was seen as disrespectful, but it wasn't disrespect at all. I just literally did not understand. Like I needed to have an understanding.
Exactly.
And like as a kid, I think that they think, oh, well, she's only 7 or she's only
rebellious.
9 or she's only 10. She doesn't really need to understand anything. Like she should just trust whatever it is I have to say. But yeah, so growing up with my stepfather, we were always butting heads.
Wow.
Because he was very strict and militant, and I am the opposite. I hate structure. I hate
Free spirit.
Yeah, like I hated having schedule. I hated like not being allowed to do certain things. I always was like wanting to play with my friends.
Wow.
And the little friends that I had like 1 or 2 friends at every school, just like 1 or 2.
Wow.
That's it everywhere I went. Like fast forward to 5th grade, that was the first time I felt suicidal.
Wow.
And that was the first time that I acknowledged those feelings and was like,
Wow.
okay, I don't want to be alive anymore.
What?
And I let my grades drop, and I kind of just like stopped caring about stuff. And I used to draw on myself. That was like my outlet. I used to draw really hard with a ballpoint pen.
Wow.
And just write things on my body.
So pause. Don't forget where you're gonna go with the story. At 10 years young,
Yeah.
you're thinking about suicide.
Probably.
So it's
yeah.
like, all right, I'm just playing and doing homework. It's like, hey, just wanna
Yeah.
like how the thought just came.
So my dad, he was very like, I'm gonna hit you for everything. So growing up, it was just like every little thing I was getting hit for. Like if I left like socks at the door, I would get hit for that.
Wow.
I would get sent to my room. I would get blown up on. Or like if I didn't put my dishes in the sink, it was like,
Wow. So no communication.
no,
Like,
it was
honey,
like,
this is not what you do.
Right.
It's gonna be
There
a fight
was-
someday. Don't be
exactly.
sloppy. I'm just gonna backhand you.
right. It was like,
Wow.
it was like rage for everything. That's what I remember.
Wow.
But like, of course, if I asked my parents, I feel like they would probably see something else.
Right.
Unfortunately, but that's my experience. Was
Wow.
every little thing I did was I was getting blown up on.
Wow.
I remember being grounded a lot. I remember having a lot of these really like anxious moments where he would send me to my room and he would have me wait for hours before he came to hit me, like
Wait,
give me a
wait.
spanking.
So you're tormented because you know it's coming.
Yes.
So
yes.
whatever you did wrong is go to your room.
Uh-huh.
So going to the room wasn't the punishment.
No, I would wait for him to come hit me. It was like, it was
That's
awful.
torment on top of torment.
I can't tell you how bad that messed me up. Like I still have like nightmares about that sometimes.
Just waiting to like for the ball to drop.
Yeah, and I have anxiety from that because now I think like, oh, that car's gonna hit me, even though they're not gonna hit me, and I'm anticipating something.
See?
I'm always anticipating something happening to me
See?
because that's what that did to my brain.
And that's
so,
what-
yeah,
That's why I want to pause and say that parents don't realize you might have had a rough day at work. You might have a problem in your own marriage. You might have your own childhood trauma that you haven't dealt with, and you take it out on your children, whether inadvertently or unintentionally. But look at the impact, like you said, it had on you. So now you're terrified, and you don't realize, and I forgot to say in the beginning, I'm a health coach. So with me being an integrated health coach, everything impacts your health, not just food. So it's your emotional, your mental, spiritual, physical, financial, relational state, all of that. So just from the fact that you had that trauma and anxiety, that's wiring your neurons. So now going forward, you'd be like, why is she anxious? Why is she, calm down, what is going on? But you don't even know what was put in you from a child.
yeah,
And the next person is going to have to deal with all of that, or the next teacher, or the next
yeah,
whatever.
literally, yeah.
Wow. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It's okay.
And you are amazing, beautiful, strong. I'm proud of you for overcoming it. And even wanting to have this conversation. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to share, to help others, because that's the desire for this podcast, is to help people see themselves and to overcome it. Not to, some people don't want to be accountable. That's what I don't like. Whether it's the person who did the abusing, not that some people think abuse is just punching somebody in the face.
Yeah.
That's abuse the way you were treated. You abused a
Yeah.
soul. You abused a person who you're supposed to raise to be the next human in society that's flourishing.
Yeah.
Not walking around like, I have low self-esteem. I don't know who this, you know what I mean? And they don't realize that's what's happening. So when you said, back on rewinding, when you said about you sided with the villain
Yeah.
because your dad was depicted as the villain, I was like, wait, what? I thought you would want to shy away from that.
No,
So
I
it's
was
weird how you
really,
connected to it.
and having suicidal thoughts and wanting to
Yes.
die, I connected those two dots. So I was always like, maybe I'm a mistake. Maybe like I'm like not supposed to be here.
Wow.
Like maybe this is like, and I just always felt like I just want to run away.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could think of was death.
Wow.
Cause like, what else do you do as a kid? Like, I mean, I don't have a grandparent to just like run away to, or like a friend that I could just go to. Like I was trapped
That's true.
there.
And then certain people don't realize, I forgot the name of it's a technical term when you're pregnant and carrying your baby. So you know
Yeah.
how whatever you eat impacts them. So if you eat
Yeah.
too much sweets, if you eat too much whatever, you'll give your baby heartburn based on your diet. The same thing happens emotionally. So your mother was getting abused and beat, carrying you
Yeah.
because the father didn't want her to keep you. So that was her punishment for keeping you. You didn't want to abort this baby. I'm going to just torture you and make
Yeah.
you wish you did. You were being programmed and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So that right there is already like something that's like a trigger that you're born with that
Yeah.
you have no knowledge of.
Yeah.
Then you get here, it's like, why am I like this?
Right.
Why am I feeling autistic? Why am I feeling rejected? Wait, why don't I feel loved? Why don't I
Yeah,
feel
that
accepted?
was like the number one thing. And like,
Wow.
I remember having these meetings with my mom and my dad, and I would straight out ask him, why don't you love me? My stepdad, I would say, why don't you love me?
Love your courage.
And he would just be quiet and he would just not say anything. And my mom would be like, tell her you love her.
Oh.
And he would like sit there and just start laughing and just like stare at me. And I just remember the humiliation in those moments. Like, and I did it multiple times. Like we would have these meetings and I would like multiple times I would ask him, why don't you love me? Why do you treat me like this?
Wow.
And my mom would just be like, no, that's not true. He does love you. He does. And I'm like, he can't even say that to me. Like, you guys don't hug me or kiss me or check on me. Like, I can't tell you how many times I was like crying in my room from being bullied.
Wow.
And like, I had a bad day at school and I would just like pray that somebody would come in there and talk to me.
And just embrace you.
Yeah.
Say it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So now from him not touching you or them not being affectionate, is touch something you desire or you don't like because you didn't get it? So,
I want it in the moments when I need reassurance.
Okay.
Like, I'm married. I'm her cousin by marriage.
yes.
So
She's amazing. She has an amazing husband.
yeah. I pick people who don't like. I pick people who give me comfort, I guess, when it comes to like my childhood, but that's not necessarily what I need. I think like I when me and Jalen met, I was very unhealed and I was very like just like in survival and just like moving through life. And I didn't even know all the stuff that I was holding on to.
Yeah. Don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Jalen is not very touchy and he's not very like emotional. He's not an emotional person, which is why I was attracted to him in the first place, because people with like extreme emotions make me like
Suspicious.
they give me the ick a little. Like it's
What do you
kind of
want,
like
my guy? Back up.
right, because I'm used to the one that's crying and I'm used to the one that I'm the one that's constantly like emotionally dysregulated. So
Okay.
it's like I guess I don't know. It's like a weird like thing. So I want it. I want it, but it's like it makes me uncomfortable because I grew up without it. So then it's like whenever I had a boyfriend that was too clingy. Well, they weren't even clingy. They were just really nice. And they just like actually loved me.
Aw.
And I just was like, oh, I can't do this.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Like I would almost like manipulate them because I knew that, okay, they will do anything I ask. They'll do anything I ask them to do.
Right.
And I knew like, okay, I've never had this before
Aw.
and I'm going to mess it up anyway. So it was just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to.
Throw the whole baby in the bathwater out.
Right.
Since it's
Yeah.
gonna mess up
That's
eventually.
that's basically how I thought. Cause my dad, he would say that to me all the time. Like,
What?
I know you were going to do this eventually, or I know you're going to become nothing eventually.
What?
Yeah.
Thanks for the words of affirmation.
My stepdad was very like, I'm going to tell you, I had this one moment in my life where I just knew that something ain't right with him. So I worked 2 jobs in high school. In my senior year of high school, I worked at this place called Monkey Joe's. It's like this jump house for little kids. I was forced to get a job at 15.
What?
My dad would not allow me to not have a job. I had to have a job, right? And then I picked up a second job because
At 15?
yeah, because I was 17. I was in high school, a senior in high school when I picked up my second
Okay,
job.
I get the senior in high school, but 15 is like, hello, you're just getting equated with high school, just getting
Yeah.
equated with, that whole atmosphere.
I don't know
And
why.
Go get 2 jobs, by the way.
I don't know. That was like a it has to happen thing.
Wow.
Because they kept claiming I was too expensive.
Huh?
Yeah, because I wanted new clothes for school, or like I wanted to go somewhere, I wanted to do something. They were always like, well, I don't have money for that. I don't have money for that. I don't have money for that. So my dad was like, you need to get a job.
I
Because
get
like
the responsibility in it.
yeah.
But don't make me feel like I'm a chore.
No, I've always paid for my own clothes. I always paid for like my own snacks in the house.
Go.
And like at my own phone bill, like all that
What?
stuff.
At 15?
At 14, 13, I was paying my own phone bill.
Then Lord forgive me.
Right. You're funny. It was I didn't want that though. I didn't want to work.
Okay.
I didn't want to
Right, I'm like-
and and there's so many things that branched
Wow.
from that feeling of never having anything. I always felt extremely poor
How? With 2 jobs.
because my parents were middle class. So like they had from the outside looking in, people were like, why can't your parents just pay for that? Why can't your parents just buy this? Why can't your parents just take you here? Why do you have to take the bus for 2 hours to go here? And it just felt like they were purposely neglecting me. Like they didn't want to because it was inconveniencing their life.
Wow.
That's how it felt. It did.
Wow.
I don't think that they were actually poor.
Okay.
I don't think that they actually didn't have the money. They
Okay.
just didn't want to do
And
it.
don't want to come outside of the parameters of their budget.
Right. Yeah. Like
You're going to stay within this. So you're
Right.
not getting anything extra.
no, it wasn't even that. I didn't even have a budget. They didn't even buy anything for me.
Wait a minute.
My dad would say like, I pay the bills and you have food here. That's it.
What? Okay.
Like at least I do that for you. At least you have a room where you can sleep. Yeah.
So it's not
it was
their-
like the
it's not their
bare minimum.
responsibility that they
No,
should have done
yeah.
that. It's like I'm doing you a favor, like you're some orphan I took in.
It was literally the bare minimum I had.
Wow.
And my dad would be like, at least I put food in your mouth and you have somewhere to sleep and you have somewhere to wash your ass.
And it's funny you say that because when I was a child, my mom raised me as a single parent. She's awesome. Worked 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Sergeant in the military. So my brother and I used to, like you said, we want, those sneakers are $100. I want the new whatever.
Yeah.
So then she was like, wait, my $100, I got 50. If you want those, you got to get a job.
I
to
could
put the
match
other
you.
50.
Yeah.
But she wasn't like, if you want those, too bad for you.
Yeah, no, man. Like,
Wow.
I don't know how to explain the
You never
the
know what people
disconnect
going through.
the
Wow.
disconnect and like all my family members just thought I was a bad kid.
Why?
And because my parents painted me as that I was just this like ungrateful black sheep child, that I just really was had an attitude all the time, and I was bad, and I skipped school. And yeah, I skipped school. I smoked weed, but it's because I was so anxious.
Exactly.
I had nowhere to put that anxiety.
That's what
I
I was
needed to
getting
do
at.
something. Like I hated. I literally wanted to die every day.
Wow.
It was
Did you
terrible.
share that with them? Or you
Yeah.
feel like they didn't even care to
Yes,
to know?
I told them all the time, and they were like, "Oh, and like, you want to die, so do I. I have,
Oh
I
my-
have to work too. I have to do this. I have to do that. We all got to do shit we want to do."
So dismissive.
Yeah, like my dad and they found out I was cutting myself in middle school, and my mom is very like religious, so she would be like, "Oh, that's a demon. You're possessed. You need to go to church. You need to pray. You need to go to church."
How about you pray with me, Mom?
Exactly. But she would have the pastor come over and like anoint our house, and she would make me throw away all my interests. Like I said, I was really into like death and like darkness and like
Wow.
villains and things like that. And she would make me throw all that stuff away.
Wow.
And I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of the shows I was into because she thought they were demonic.
Right.
So like every little thing, I was like always having anxiety when she would walk up the stairs of our loft,
Aw.
because that's where I would watch my shows, because
Okay.
it was far away from them. They never came upstairs really. So I was like, okay,
And you knew that.
yeah, like, okay, I can sit down, I can eat. The only things I could count on was my shows and cereal.
Stability.
That there was a bowl of cereal waiting for me at home and a show that I liked.
Wow.
And I was always like peeking over my shoulder to see if my mom would come up to see what I was watching.
You were terrified to get busted.
Yeah, because I didn't want her to then call my dad and be like, "No, Horace, she's watching something I don't want her to watch.
That's another beating.
And she's not listening to me." Yeah, and then it's another beating. And every little thing, I was like, damn, I'm going to get beat.
Yeah.
I'm going to get beat.
Yeah.
So then once I got old enough, I said, I don't give a shit beat.
Mm.
I'm going to do it anyway because I don't
Wow.
care. I'm not scared anymore.
Wow.
And then that's when me and my dad started getting physical, and we fought each other. And my dad is grown. He is big man. His military training, he has law enforcement correctional training. My stepfather is strong man, big man.
Wow.
And I didn't care.
You're courageous.
I was like, I will fight you.
Yeah.
I will fight you
Yeah.
because
He was taking
I'm
your liberty.
tired of being treated this way. I'm tired of being fear mongled into doing something because you think that it's not right or
Wow.
whatever. And that's when like lines started getting blurred because I was still in high school. So it was just constant like back and forth, and I would just get beat and I would show no emotion.
Wow.
That was like my
got numb to.
yeah, that was
all of it.
like I just started thinking he wants a reaction, So he's not going to get one. He can beat me. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to sit here and act like it hurts.
Wow.
I'm going to hit him back, and that's it. I'm going to hit him back, and I'm going to try my hardest and fight him. And then once he realizes that I don't give a he's hitting me, maybe he'll stop hitting me.
When he gets tired.
Yeah. But
he being stubborn, gonna keep beating you, showing
Right.
he's gonna break you.
exactly. And so it became like a power struggle then. Once
Wow.
like it wasn't even like it was like a power struggle.
Wow.
I just I don't know what happened to my brain, but it turned into this monster, like this monster that just hated everybody and wanted to fight. So
You wanted into the part when you said your mom knew you were doing things and she figured the root cause was demons, so she just wanted to get rid of everything that she thought was the inroads to the demons.
Yeah.
I'm all for that, but you can't only do that. So
Right.
if I know a person is cutting himself, okay, right, I'm gonna take the knife, but you got to get to the root cause of why.
Yeah.
Because why do you want to cut yourself? Why are you watching things that's demonic? You can't just snatch stuff away, because I'm gonna now go find an ink pen and stab myself if I want to still do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you take the knife, I'm gonna find whatever I can find with a sharp edge. So taking this stuff away is not only the answer.
she put me in counseling, and my counselor told me to smoke weed. My counselor, because I told my counselor all the abuse I was going through, and they ended up telling me like, okay, I think you should keep smoking weed at school, and I think that you should try your best to save your money from 15 to 18, 3 years.
Get out.
Save your money and leave.
Wow.
And she was like, my dad did get DCF called on him once, but
Wow.
she was like, do you think you're in immediate danger? Do you think that he's going to kill you? And I said, no, he's not going to kill me, but
He's just gonna beat me until
he'll
he gets
beat me
tired.
till some of my bones are broken, but I don't think he's going to kill me. So like, I don't know. I kind of downplayed it to the counselor just a little bit, because I knew if I said certain things that they would call the police or that I would get.
Wow. So you wanted to protect them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cause like it's like this weird like love-hate thing.
Aw.
Cause like I still loved him even though
That's big.
he wasn't always abusing me, you know what I mean? But it was like,
That's big.
it was pretty often, but it wasn't like every day.
That's big.
But it was like, you know, after a couple weeks, he would like hold it all in and then he would explode. So it was like maybe like twice a month where it was like this
Wow.
big explosion for no reason.
And you see how we take those soul wounds and we know the patterns of it, and we're just like, today for the next 7 days I'm gonna be free, and then the next 8 days I'm gonna get beat.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like that emotional instability. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So when I was 15, I got put into a group home.
Okay.
Because my mom was saying I was a danger to my siblings.
You're a danger.
Yeah. She said I was a danger because I was trying to smoke weed in my bathroom.
To stay
and-
calm, because they was
Yeah.
beating you all the time and abusing
Yeah.
you and neglecting you. Okay. All
So
right.
I was trying to make a water bong out of a water bottle, and I put a piece of paper inside just to make sure that the smoke would like fill up the bottle. And I dropped the piece of paper on the floor, and our tile was pretty cheap in that bathroom, so it melted. It just melted. It melted a little hole in the floor.
The
Like
linoleum old school tile.
yeah. It singed the. It made like a tiny little
So now
singe
you're a
hole.
firebug and you're a hazard for
Right.
the family.
Yeah. So then my mom's like, she's an arson. She's crazy. Blah blah.
Never
We-
dealing with why you were smoking.
Right. And they're
With
like,
anxiety.
yeah. I don't even think they knew that I was trying to smoke. I just made something up because I didn't want to get in trouble for smoking and burning the tile.
okay.
So I was like,
So
okay,
I
I'll just
understand.
pretend like
Yeah,
I was
okay.
pretending playing with fire or some shit.
Okay.
But shortly after that, my parents were like, she gotta go. She gotta go. She gotta go. She gotta get out of here.
From one offense, you don't get 3 strikes. You're out. You got
Well,
one
I mean, I had got kicked out of school for fighting, and I got kicked out of multiple schools for fighting. And
multiple schools.
multiple schools for fighting, multiple schools for being gay.
Wow.
I liked this girl, and I went to a Christian school, and they found out that we were making out, and
like,
I
"You
got
gotta
kicked
go."
out. Right,
Okay.
I got kicked out of the Christian school, and then I also another thing with fire. I was in drama class, and me and my friends were trying to smoke weed, and it was the same thing with the damn water bottle.
Wow.
And one of my friends, she threw the tester strip into the trash, and it lit up all the paper towels.
Good job, sis.
And I was like, girl, why would you do that? So then I had to put water into the trash can because I'm like, I'm not just gonna let this burn. It's gonna burn down the whole damn school.
Right.
So I I put water in the trash can, and of course, all the smoke just started billowing out of that damn trash can.
Fire drill.
And then everybody got kicked out of the, and you know, all the water comes down. And then my drama teacher, he was pretty cool. His name was Mr. McBride.
Shout out to
And
Mr. McBride.
yeah, he was pretty cool. He was like, "You were smoking weed, weren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude. I was just trying to make sure that this bong is gonna work." And he was like, "You know," he was like, "Why don't you do that shit outside?"
That part.
He was like, "Just tell me, you can go do that shit."
Wow, cool teacher like that.
Right. So he tried to like fight for me to stay at the school because he was like one of the only teachers that like really knew me.
Oh.
I love drama class. That was my fave.
One of your callings.
Yeah. So he just was like, "All right, I'm gonna try to get her to stay," but I got expulsion.
Yeah.
They were like, "No, sorry, she almost set the damn school on fire." They're like, "You should be lucky we're not calling the police."
True.
For arson.
True.
So I was like, "Okay, cool. At least I'm not going to jail." But after that, my parents were like, "All right, you're done. Like you're done. Like you're doing school. Your grades are trash. You literally have no credits. You're literally still a freshman. Technically, I was a sophomore and I had no credits at all. I didn't do school at all. I literally didn't take tests. And they tested me.
Wow.
And I was gifted.
Okay.
They did a test for me and they said I was bored in normal classes. So they were like, "We're going to put her in honors classes and special classes because she literally is too smart for the remedial classes." And I couldn't believe that I took those tests and I scored so high.
Wow.
I was like, "There's no way that this is true.
No studying.
There's no way." And my mom was like, "She just applied herself." And I'm thinking,
You didn't even have to study and you passed.
exactly.
It don't sound like you had time to study with these stories.
And she's like, "How are you not passing your remedial classes?" And I'm like, "Because I'm not going to class. I'm not going to class."
Wow.
So I was skipping school and I was going to the mall and I was stealing my friends.
You was boosting.
I was doing whatever. I was doing whatever to get out of that. The only thing is I was not into sex. I did not want to have sex with anybody.
So no babies.
Just the thought.
Home.
No, the thought of like having sex, the thought of making out with somebody, the thought of like touch made me really scared. At that age, I was just like, I don't even want that. I don't even want that. I'll do everything else. I'm just not going to do that. And I made that very clear. And I dressed like a boy because I really wanted boys to leave me alone.
Got it.
So, but I had guy friends. Almost all my friends were guys.
Okay.
But they didn't see me that way, which was good.
Right.
So I
Like,
didn't
stay
really
far away.
Right.
Okay.
So I went to a group home and then I ended up getting kicked out of the group home for the same reason. For liking girls. Yeah.
You was on 150.
Right. So after I got kicked out of the group home and I left, I tried to go back home to my parents' house and I finished school. I tried to be Christian, like holy again. And they put me in another Christian school for my junior year of high school. And that's where I met my first rapist.
What?
He was my first boyfriend I ever had. And he ended up taking my virginity and raping me. So that's how I lost my virginity, was not my choice. So
in school?
Yeah. Well, I would go to his house because my parents started trusting me again because I was like doing really good in school. Excellent. And I was like going home and school and that was it.
Now, how long was it between the group home when you went back? What was that time period before the group home, before you went back to say, you know what?
It was almost 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was almost 2 years. So I came out at like 16 and a half.
Okay.
And I had no credits. I had no credits. And they were like, we can't put her in a regular school because she would literally be a ninth grader. And like that doesn't make sense. So at a Christian school, you can move at your own pace and they don't really have like many rules.
Nice.
So you can make up those credits like fast.
Excellent.
So that's what I did. I did literally 2 years of school in 1 year.
Nice.
And I made it to junior year because I was like, one thing about it, I'm not gonna let my dad win with that one.
Come on.
Because he kept saying she's not gonna graduate. She's never gonna graduate.
You a lie.
They both thought I wasn't gonna graduate high school. They kept saying, oh nah, she ain't gonna graduate. She probably gonna get a GED or she probably gonna drop out and just like not have anything.
I'm proud of you.
And that was the one thing I said, I'm going to graduate high school. I don't give a shit. Not for them, it's for me.
I'm proud of you.
And So I got those credits going, and that guy abused me for a year, and it was terrible. And then I left that school, and I went to another alternative school, but it was a public alternative school in the ghetto. It was like where a lot of like crackheads were.
The environment
So
different.
like I had to take the city bus to the school, and they had like shifts. So it was for kids who were really old and wanted to graduate. Like they let kids be there till 21 years old to
All
graduate
right.
high school.
So you
Right.
can be with somebody who's 15 or 16 and they're 21.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was 17 now. I'm 17 and I'm in my senior year of high school, and I did another 2 years in 1 year. So I did
Wow.
4 years of high school in 2 years.
Let's go.
Right. So I did that, and I tested super high on my FCATs, which is our standardized testing in Florida. I was in Florida at this time. And I did really good. I was able to get it all going, and I had another boyfriend at this time that I met at my job,
Okay.
Monkey Joe's, and we dated for like 4 years.
Nice.
He was a great guy. No abuse or anything weird. He was a great dude.
Wow.
And man, in that time, my dad was the worst I think he had ever been, and I couldn't figure out why, because I was doing everything correctly. But he was crazy. Like he was crazy. Like I had cups. So I have like this habit. I still have this habit to this day. My husband will tell you. I like
Shout out
to
my cousin Jalen. Bless him.
I
Lord.
like to harbor water bottles and cups by my bed.
Why?
I don't know. I'm one of those people where I'm like, hi, I just need some water in the night, or I just need to drink some water before I go to bed. And I don't drink it, and I just leave it there. And then days go by and I forget about the water.
Jalen, you got to fine her every 2 bottles. Give her a $5 fine.
It's like not as bad as it used to be,
Okay.
but when I was younger, it was really bad.
Wow.
Like I would always go downstairs and get a cup of water, then leave it in my room. Go downstairs, get a cup of water, leave it in my room, and it would
So wait,
stay there.
So you was taking all the family cups and nobody could find cups.
Yeah,
when they
but
were
we had
downstairs?
cups.
Okay.
Yeah, there was cups in the there was cups in the damn cupboard,
Okay.
but I liked the big cups, and my dad liked the big
That's how
cups.
you're gonna say he's being petty because you took his cup.
Right, but it's like, why don't you just be like, hey, can you bring those cups downstairs and wash them?
Period. That's it. That's simple.
Why can't you just say that? Like, hey, I know you got them damn cups in your room. Can you bring them downstairs and wash them and put them away?
No.
What's wrong with that? Like, why can't you just say
All
that?
communication?
Right. So he would just wait until the cups piled up. Then he would count the cups, and he would go in my room and count the cups in my
Petty.
room. And then he would wait for me to come home, and then he would spaz on me and be like, you have 15 cups in your room. I can't believe whatever. And then he would like spaz and hit me, break things.
Huh?
What? Yeah, just crazy.
Not an F on your report card. Cups.
No cups.
Not a
Yeah,
boy. Not
no.
sneaking a boy in like I used to do.
No cups. Yeah. Or there's this one time, like,
Wow.
if anything is out of place. So like I was watching TV and I had a
Oh,
blanket, and I left the blanket on the couch, right? And he's like, come pick up this mess. I come in there, there's no mess. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, that damn blanket. I'm like, oh, all right, my bad. So I didn't fold it. I just like balled it up and I
Yeah.
put it in the closet. And when I tell you he spazzed like. And I remember my mom coming out and she goes, she put it away.
Yeah,
like,
what's the problem?
why does she have to fold it in this like perfect, like she put it away. And it was always little stuff like that that would just like make him snap, especially like clothes being places they're not supposed to be, like socks. If he ever found socks anywhere on the floor, it was like a big deal. Like I was the kid that kicked off my shoes and socks immediately
100%.
as soon as I came through the door.
House, I'm stripping.
Right, my socks and my shoes, they were always right by the door. And like I was saying, as a kid, that was like one of his biggest triggers was if there was socks by the door. But I had ADD or whatever, I had autism, whatever. So it was really hard for me to remember. It was really hard for me to remember any of those things until I was getting beat for them. And I still didn't remember
So you
even
wasn't
being beat.
intentionally trying to be
Right.
disobedient.
It was just something I always forgot because
Wow.
I was so focused on using the bathroom and getting a snack because I was starving after school. You know how that is. You come home from school and you're hungry as hell.
Absolutely.
And you're tired. You don't feel good. You had a long day. You just smell like outside and you feel dirty and
Yeah.
that feeling. And I was just always like, okay, I got to get out of these clothes and I got to go get something to eat. That was like my main thing. And washing my face. Like, I have to wash my face. Like religiously. Right. So Yeah. So
He was talking about the cups.
yeah, it was just, I couldn't get it. I was like, man, I'm doing everything this man wants me to do, and I'm still being attacked.
Not enough.
Like, and they still were like not helping me pay for things, and it was still like this. It was still like this pushback, right? So, I ended up. There was some mishaps with my dad where he didn't like that I was focusing on school versus my job. And that sounds crazy, doesn't it?
You're supposed to be focusing on school.
That sounds crazy.
So you can get a job when you
So
graduate.
we actually got into a fist fight, like actual physical fight, because I told him that I had to focus on my standardized testing for school, and I told him I wasn't going to work anymore for the week. I took off for the rest of the week. I told him I have to study.
1 week. You didn't quit the job.
Yeah,
Just 1
no, I
week.
didn't quit the job.
To study.
I told him I have to study for 1 week, right? I have to, because this test is going to determine whether I graduate or
Kind of
not.
like midterms.
Yeah, so I told him
Wow.
I need to study for these tests. I worked a 12-hour shift earlier in the week, and that was all that I'm working. I'm only working 12 hours this week.
Period. At 15 and 16.
I was 17, yeah.
17.
And he spazzed. He ended up breaking my finger and ripping my shirt, and we physically fought because he wanted me to keep my hours, right? So I don't really remember much after that year. Like, I think that I quit. I'm pretty sure I got burned out after high school. After I graduated, I just went through this like burnout. I just felt really exhausted, and then my health started going downwards.
Absolutely.
I ended up getting diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and
See?
fibromyalgia the same year. I had like 3 seizures, and I was sickly. I was sick. I couldn't swallow food. And
Let me pause right there. So as an integrative health coach, when your emotions are out of whack like that, that's what dis-ease is called. So they just, oh, you got a disease or you got rheumatoid arthritis. All of those negative emotions go somewhere in your body, and your body is not meant to house that. So everything goes out of whack, causes inflammation. And like you said, arthritis. I'm surprised you didn't have breathing disorders. All of those emotions.
Oh,
just
asthma.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like short-circuiting things in your body. So you have to have your soul healed. If not, those emotions will constantly cause problems in your body.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, so I was really sick for a little while, and I really couldn't work a job fully. Like, I had to keep leaving jobs because I physically couldn't do it. Like, I physically couldn't stand and work for all those hours. And my dad didn't like that, of course. So it was always a constant, you have to have a job, you have to have a job, you have to have a job, you have to
is that
pay
why
me.
he put you out, because you said you didn't want to do a 1 week of work?
Basically, I mean, after like, I got kicked out again when I was like 18 or 19.
What?
And it was because I was physically sick. Like, I was physically ill. It was really hard for me to do anything. And I also, like, my mental state, because like in my head, I reached my goal. I graduated high school. I didn't have a goal after that, right? So I was like, I already did that. So all my motivation just was gone then. Because I was like, okay, I
That's
did.
all they threw in your face.
Right. And I was just like, it was almost like adrenaline, like fight or flight. Like, I did it, and now my body's like, okay, we're gonna
Shut
calm down now because we already did that. We did that. We worked
It's
hard.
like you raced this finish line. It's like,
Right.
I did it.
I worked.
Oh.
Right. I worked super hard for 2 years. I worked my ass off and worked 2 jobs. So I was okay. I'm ready to relax now. And
proud
I
of
think
you.
most kids get that after high school, even if they didn't have an abusive home.
don't
Whereas
wanna
like
go to
they're
college.
they're just like, I
was
need
me.
like a year off.
That was me, and I never went to college.
Yeah, and they're just like, I need a year off to relax. I need a year off to chill. I just need to relax. Like, I just did this long 12-year mile, you know?
Like 24 years.
Yeah, and it's like, I just need to relax, right? My dad was not having that shit. I went to cosmetology school because people kept telling me, because like I was always changing my hair and my style because it was an outlet for me. It wasn't really something I was like interested in doing as a career. I
Okay.
just did that because I was that's what I did for myself. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll just go to school for that. I spiraled. I couldn't, my parents took my money for school and didn't give it back. I saved money for school and my mom used it on mortgage.
What in the hell?
And I
Jeez.
couldn't get my money back. So I was struggling to pay monthly for my school, and I was working crazy hours at the mall.
Wow.
I was working at Forever 21, and this is the pinnacle point where my dad made me leave. Like, he was like, you cannot stay here, you cannot sleep here. And I was homeless. I slept in my car, and I remember thinking, I don't have money. Like, I don't have money to do anything. So then I found a room to rent for $300. And at this time, I left Forever 21 and I went to this Disney Springs restaurant called Paddlefish.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend at the time, he also worked there.
Mm.
And my boyfriend, I was like terrified to be alone, like ever. So I made him stay with me in this room to rent, and I rented a room from these boys. It was a room full of guys.
Wow.
A house full of guys. And
Don't tell me.
nobody did anything to me, thank God. But I just was scared to be there alone because they were constantly, it was a bachelor pad, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, think about it, like a bunch of college boys.
Right.
And then there's me.
And it was probably hoping a guy rented it when they saw you. They're like, oh, well, they'll get that money.
Right. Yeah. So I knew him from my best friend from high school.
Okay.
She was like, okay, I know him.
Oh, okay.
And he was notoriously racist as well. He was a white man, notoriously racist. So I was also scared of some weird like race thing happening to me.
Wow.
But he didn't really bring it up very much. He was like, oh, well, I don't really count you as black, so it's fine.
What in the ham and cheese?
Because my mom is not black, so he just didn't count me as black.
Okay.
Which is good for me because he was notoriously known for being extremely racist. So, and he used to do like hate crimes and stuff like that. So, I put myself in that danger because I would rather rent a room from a racist man than live with my dad.
Wow.
Or try to live with my dad, because my dad worked nights, so I would sneak into the house, sleep in my bed when he was gone, and be gone by 7 a.m. when he came home.
Wow. So what steps have you taken to like overcome all of this trauma? Like, this is like horrendous trauma.
Yeah. So what happened was I ended up moving to Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
My mom dropped all my problems off on my cousin. She moved here just for a year while her husband went to college here. He went to UCF, and they had a apartment with an extra room. And I asked her if I could stay with her.
Okay.
I was like, just for a month, just give me 30 days.
Okay.
Just give me 30 days. Because she was one of those people, she was willing to help me, but she did not want to take on my problems. And I knew that. I was like, she means business. And she's one of those people that budgets all her money. And she was like, bitch, I'm not helping you. Like, I'm letting you stay here, but I'm not going to pay. Right. I'm not going to pay your stuff, basically. Right.
Right.
So she let me stay there for a month for free.
Wow.
And I started stripping.
Wait, a month for free, but you said you was only staying a month.
Yeah.
So you stayed.
So she wasn't gonna. Well, she told me that I'll give you the first month for free, and then after that you need to pay rent.
So she let you stay longer than a month then?
No, I stayed the full month, and then I left and wanted to live on my own because I didn't. She's married. This is her and her husband.
Oh, wow.
You know, I felt like bad for just like being there.
Okay.
I just didn't want to even be there, but I took the opportunity to move to another city because my mom literally said, I remember when I was leaving, she said, this is abusive. She said,
You admitted it?
yeah, she said, this is years of abuse. And she cried to my dad and was like, please don't make her leave. Please don't make her leave.
Wow.
And he said, I don't give a I want her to out. And she didn't fight for that. She said, okay, I'm going to find somewhere for her to go.
Wow.
Because I just came out of renting a room from these college dudes. And then I ended up, so one of my close friends ended up passing away. And I was there when they took him off life support. So I watched him pass away. And it made me
more trauma.
It turned me into psychosis. And then I ended up overdosing on my depression medication.
No.
And I had to get my stomach pumped, and then I went crazy and nobody could find me, and the police found me. I was trying to jump off a bridge to kill myself. And the police found me and they took me, and then I went to I got Baker acted and I went to like a place where they treated me, gave me more medication, and then my mom was scared after that, and she was like, okay, this is like serious now. Like this is like serious now. But it's funny because it was just like years of like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It like, they don't understand.
Right.
That was years of like, I'm ready to die.
Wow.
And finally I just like didn't give a shit.
just compounded. Like,
yeah. And I was like gonna try. I remember thinking I'm gonna keep trying until I die.
wow.
Because I tried like 3 times and I didn't die. And I'm like, why the am I still alive?
Because God said, excuse me, ma'am.
I just kept thinking like, why am I alive?
Wow.
Like after I overdosed, I remember waking up in the hospital and my boyfriend was there and he was like, what the wrong with you?
Somebody
and I'm like,
must have been praying.
why did you save me?
Somebody was praying for you.
I told him, why
Wow.
did you save me?
You
Why did you
serious?
not leave me there? And he said, I love you. Why would I leave you there?
Aw.
And I'm like, I told you I was done. Like, why didn't you just leave me there?
Shout out to you. Shout out for saving my cousin. Thank you.
Yeah, I was pissed at him
Wow.
and I was like, I don't understand why you did that. Why'd you call the police? Because I was alone and I told him, I texted him, I said, okay, I'm going. And it's over.
Are you kidding me?
And he said he came in, he found me in the bathroom and they saved
This
my
was
life.
before or after you said you started doing the stripping?
This was before.
Okay.
This was before I moved to Tampa.
Wow.
So then I came home for like a short period of time because my mom was like, there's nothing for you now. Like,
Okay.
we need to help you.
Okay.
Like, you literally have like a mental illness.
So the light bulb went off finally.
Yeah, but it was because I had a mental illness that she finally was like, okay, you're bipolar. Because they diagnosed me bipolar
Okay.
at that point. And then my mom was like, okay, we need to take her in and we need to make sure she's healthy and she's doing okay. And my dad was like, I don't give a shit.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, my dad was like, I don't give a
You gotta go. I know people say, "Oh, don't choose your kids over your man because your kid's gonna grow up and leave you, and you got to stay with your man." But he's a watch the words, Teresa. He got to go.
Right. Like
Wow.
so like he just didn't care. And that's when my mom's like, okay, we're going to make you go to Tampa with your cousin and please do well over here.
Okay.
Like she basically was like, please don't kill yourself.
Right.
Like, please try.
Right.
Right. And, my other friend, bless her heart, she overdosed on medication and she's the one that taught me about stripping. So she's the one that took me to the club and taught me about the ins and outs of the club.
Wow.
So because of her, I already had a club in mind. I already knew where I was going. I already knew how I was going to make my money. And she told me like, Autumn, I'm going to tell you this. Do not fall for anybody's bullshit.
Okay.
She was like, there's pimps,
Period.
there's traffickers, there's all kinds of shit. She was like, Autumn, stay to your money and be safe.
Wow.
Don't do drugs. Don't try not to drink too much.
Stay
Like,
alert.
and that was the one thing I really remember. And I came in there with a business mindset.
Okay.
I came in there with like, all right, I'm
Okay.
not going to be doing crazy shit.
Right.
I'm going to
Not gonna turn
dance.
into a prostitute.
Right, exactly. I'm
Right.
not going to do that. I'm coming here. I'm going to basically scam these men out of money. And I'm going to do what I got to do to pay my bills.
Period.
That's what it is. I'm not going here to make friends. I'm not going here to party. I'm going here to work.
I'm glad you
Right.
said that.
And because of her, I figured it out and I made money. And I remember the first time I made over $1,000 and I was like, thank you, Jesus.
Wow.
Like finally
Right.
I can pay bills. I
Right.
can finally like be good.
Right.
Like it was like crazy, like going from like such a restrictive life to like, I could do whatever the fuck I want. And I'm away. I'm in a whole nother city.
Yeah.
They have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay. I'm glad you shared that because certain people look down when they see someone, oh, she's a stripper, oh, she's nasty, she's low class, thinking they, like you said, a prostitute or just don't care about themselves. But you don't know the person's journey. You don't know what led them there. You don't know
Yeah.
what they have and don't have. And like you said, you were business minded. Me being on the outside looking in, I was totally ignorant. I didn't even know you can have that mind. I'm just like, what? Why are they doing that?
I didn't
I'm
even
like, what?
I no shade to sex workers. I think if you have sex for money, do you, girl. Just or man. Just
And I
be
didn't even know
safe.
trafficking was a part of it. When you said watch out
Oh,
for trafficking,
yeah.
I said, wait, human trafficking?
Yes.
And I had no clue of that.
Yes.
Wow.
I know girls that have been abducted. I know girls that are found dead, stuff like that. Yeah, it's really bad.
Wow.
But what's crazy is I just grew up with so much like trauma already that bother me.
Wow.
Like,
long
I
did you
didn't
strip?
care.
How long did you do it for?
4 years,
Get outta
5
here.
years. Actually, no, maybe longer.
Wow.
Maybe like 6 years.
Courageous. I admire your. So you don't have any of those
6 years.
weird stories like nobody trying you?
Yeah, I almost
you.
people follow me. I almost got abducted into a sex trafficking ring.
Huh?
Yeah, this guy, he ended up being arrested years later, and I saw him in the news, and I was like, that's the guy that followed me.
So you're going
to
home
my
from
house,
work, and he literally followed you. You get out the car. What happened?
So I didn't get out the car. What happened was, I lived an hour away from my job. I lived in Newport Richie, and I worked in Tampa.
Okay.
So he followed me for an entire hour and I was pulling down my road, and I knew that,
I'm glad
okay,
you were
he's
alert.
following me because
I'm glad
like,
you were alert.
I lived in like the country.
Right.
So like you're turning down this side road. There's no way that this same
Right.
guy has been following me this
Right.
entire time.
You don't know me.
Lives in Newport Richie. There's no way. So I turned right back around. I called my manager,
Very
which
good.
he has experience with this kind of thing. He'll shoot somebody and kill them for me.
Okay.
So he said, come back to the club.
Okay.
Come back to the club. Turn your back around. Come back to the
Very
club, because if
good.
he's going to follow you that far, he's going to follow you back to the
Very
club.
good.
So I drove all the way back to the club, a whole nother hour back to the club. And once I pulled up, they had a gunfight. Yeah. And my manager ended up shooting this guy in the leg, and I guess shooting him in the balls too, I guess.
What?
Yeah.
Shooting out instead of just pulling off. Like, I have no business doing this anyway.
No, he wasn't even scared. He was ready to go because he knew that I knew what was going on. So at that point, it was kind of like, all right, I'm going to take her.
What?
Yeah, because I stayed in my car, and he came out with his gun pointed.
Toward you to make you come.
My manager came out with his gun pointed.
Got you.
So he rolled down his window. He had his gun pointed
At
already.
the person who's going to.
Yeah, my manager and the abductor.
Okay.
They were gun shown together. So my manager gets in my car. He said, drive around the corner. So it was like a roundabout. The club is like in the middle, and then there's like you drive in and drive back out.
Okay.
So we went around the roundabout, and the guy that was trying to take me backed his car up, so stopping me from getting out. So John, his name is John, he got out, and the abuser got out and tried to open my door to get me out. And John ended up pushing him and shooting him.
God bless
right there.
John.
And he stayed on the ground because, I mean, you just a shot. I guess some people have adrenaline. They get up and they still keep doing what they were doing. But he was like, oh,
Wow.
I think it caught like his balls because he got shot right in the leg, like next to his groin. And he just kept screaming, my balls, like my balls.
Good for him.
And John was like, go home,
Right.
drive, go home. So John stayed there with that and had him restrained, and
Very
they called the police.
good.
But I guess that was before he started like really trafficking, because I guess he went to prison and he got out. I never saw him again after that. But years later, I see him in the news as being the number one sex trafficker in Tampa. Like
you
thousands of
kidding
women
me?
were missing from him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's literally
I
crazy.
never knew. Oh,
Yeah.
this here, all of this, and people don't realize the impact that people have on people's lives. All of this from a childhood of abuse, neglect, rejection, black sheep, and you finding your own way.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what I mean about soul wounds. Those things have to be healed. Those things have to be addressed. You can't be overlooked. So I'm proud of you for going on your journey. Our next episode, we're going to bring your husband on about how those soul wounds you took into the relationship, how it impacted you as you were going through your healing journey. I want to thank you so much.
Yeah.
for coming
I'm so happy
on
I
the
got to
story.
share my story in full, because
Woo.
I didn't realize how big it is.
Yeah,
But
I'm taking
it's
pictures,
ridiculous.
so I'm like in the story.
It
while
sounds
you're
like a
saying it. I'm
movie.
Yes, I'm in the story looking while you. So I'm like, oh my god, like wait, what? Like I'm feeling anxious just listening to it. Like you
Yeah.
are courageous. I commend you. I'm thankful you did not kill yourself. I'm thankful you're here. I'm thankful you weren't aborted. Shout out to your mom for keeping you. Your stepdad, you need therapy, but I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm high five. I love you. Beautiful.
I love you
You
too.
did it. You're gonna be an
Thanks.
inspiration
Thanks for
to
having
so
me on.
many. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
We're going to have a next episode coming up soon, so stay tuned. Good night.
Thank you.